It was a clear spring afternoon in Des Moines, Iowa. A former factory lot had been transformed into a temporary stage. Rows of folding chairs fanned out across the gravel like waves of quiet anticipation. Red, white, and blue banners flapped in the breeze while the air buzzed with chatter, campaign slogans, and the occasional pop of a waving flag. President Donald Trump was scheduled to speak at 2 p.m. But this wasn't just another political stop. It was a statement about small-town America, jobs, and the promise of unity. Standing quietly at the edge of the crowd was 17-year-old Alina Porter, almost hidden among the taller attendees. In her hand, she clutched a wrinkled piece of paper. Her old, worn sneakers sharply contrasted with the polished shoes and crisp suits around her. She hadn't come for photos or autographs. She came with a question, one she wasn't sure she'd ever have the chance to ask. Her father, a Marine veteran, had returned home from deployment carrying invisible scars. Struggling with PTSD, he eventually took his own life. Since then, Alina had stepped up at home, helping care for her younger brother while her mother worked 2 jobs to keep the family afloat. Alina didn't hold blind admiration or disdain for Trump. She came because her heart told her it was time someone said something. As music swelled and applause rippled through the audience, Alina's heart pounded. Flashbulbs began popping. Trump emerged on stage, waving to the crowd with confidence. He began speaking, his words touching on agriculture, economy, and rural strength. Alina, her breath unsteady, felt her feet begin to move forward. She didn't plan it. She just moved, weaving through bodies and chairs. Some people turned, confused. Others whispered. But she didn't stop. Then, during a rare pause between sentences, her voice rose. Not loud, but clear enough to pierce the silence. "Mr. President, what would you say to a daughter whose hero gave everything and came home invisible?" The crowd hushed instantly. Even Trump stopped mid-sentence. Security reacted quickly, moving in toward the young girl, but Trump raised his hand. "Wait," he said into the mic. "Let her speak." Gasps fluttered through the audience. Alina stood frozen in place, trembling. Her knees weakened, but Trump gestured toward her, more gently now. "Come up. Say what's on your mind." 2 Secret Service agents led her to the stage. She gripped the microphone tightly as the cameras turned. To her, thousands of eyes locked on her. Even Trump's typical confidence seemed to waver as he looked at her. "My dad was a Marine," she began, her voice cracking. "He made it home, but not really. Nobody saw him. Nobody helped. If we love our troops so much, then why do they disappear when they're broken?" You could have heard a pin drop. Trump didn't interrupt. His expression changed, not guarded, but contemplative. From her backpack, Alina pulled out a neatly folded Marine Corps shirt. She held it up with trembling hands. This was his, she said. He wore it with pride. But after he came home, people avoided him. He couldn't sleep. He screamed at night. And one day, he just didn't wake up. Her eyes locked with Trump's. All he ever wanted was to matter. Trump reached out and took the shirt gently, reading the faded name stitched above the pocket, Porter. He held it for a moment before returning it to her with a solemn nod. Then he spoke softly into the microphone. "I've shaken hands with countless heroes, but I've never had a daughter show me what one left behind." The crowd remained silent, many visibly emotional. Cameras zoomed in on Alina's tear-streaked face. "What's your name?" Trump asked. "Alina," she answered. "Well, Alina," he said, "you've asked a question that every leader in this country needs to answer, and I don't think I can do it in one speech, but I'm listening." And, for the first time, Alina believed someone truly was. That evening, news stations looped the moment on repeat. Social media lit up. Across the political spectrum, most responses were stunned admiration. Trump, known for controlling every narrative, had given the stage to a grieving teenager, and the world listened. At home, Alina sat quietly on the couch, beside her little brother Jake, who was hugging their dad's old hoodie. "That was really brave," he whispered. Alina gave a small smile. "I didn't do it to be brave. I did it because someone had to." Their mom, Melissa, stood in the doorway. She hadn't cried when the flag was folded or during the memorial. But tonight, watching her daughter challenge the President of the United States, the tears finally came. On the table near the TV sat an untouched chair, their father's chair. Grief still lived there. But now, for the first time, their sorrow felt like it had meaning. At 7:03 the next morning, Alina's phone rang. She froze when she saw the caller. "ID, White House office. Hello?" she answered cautiously. A calm, professional voice replied, "Miss Porter, the President would like to speak with you." Before she could process it, Trump's voice came on the line. "Alina, it's Donald Trump. What you said yesterday, it shouldn't be just a moment. I want to do something real. Would you come to D.C.?" Alina stammered. I guess so." He chuckled lightly. "Good, I'm sending a plane. I want to show you something." Hours later, a black SUV pulled up to their home. A Secret Service agent stepped out. "Miss Porter, we're ready when you are." Alina hugged her brother and mom tightly. She didn't know what lay ahead, but she hoped, deep down, it meant something would finally change. The jet was sleek and quiet. She'd never flown before, let alone on Air Force One. Trump greeted her himself. Today, he didn't act like the president. He acted like a man who had heard a truth too deep to ignore. As the plane soared above the clouds, he poured her a cup of tea. "You asked a question no advisor ever has," he said. "That's because it hurts to ask," she replied softly. He leaned back, thoughtful. "Do you think your father wanted to be remembered?" Alina didn't hesitate. "He just wanted to be seen." "Then let's make sure he is," Trump said. He outlined an idea, not a campaign tactic, but a national initiative aimed at PTSD awareness and veteran reintegration. Not about politics, about people. And he wanted Alina to be the face of it. "Me?" she asked, stunned. "I'm just 17. "Exactly," Trump said. "That's why people will listen, because your truth is real." When they arrived at the White House, Trump led her down marble hallways until they reached a secured room. Inside was only one feature, a massive digital wall, softly glowing, filled with names. "This is something we've been building," Trump said. "It's called the Wall of the Forgotten, a living memorial for those who came back and disappeared." At the top of the list was Sergeant David Porter. Alina gasped. "How did you—" "We began the moment you stepped off that stage," he said. "You reminded us that not all heroes fall in battle. Some fade in silence, and that needs to change." Alina walked along the wall, her hand grazing the digital stone. Each name pulsed softly, a tribute to the unseen. "I want to add letters," she said suddenly. "Stories. From daughters. families like mine. Trump nodded. Done. In that quiet room, for the first time in months, Alina felt her father not in sorrow, but in legacy. A week later, a press conference was held. But this time, Trump didn't stand alone. Alina stood beside him, her hair pinned back, her hands clutching two folded pages. "My name is Alina Porter," she began, her voice shaking. "My dad was a Marine. He gave everything, but came home broken. No one saw him, until now." She looked directly at the cameras. "If your family has ever felt invisible, if your pain was ignored, we're building something for you." Behind her, a new logo lit up the screen. Still Serving, a national effort to provide therapy, jobs, mentorship, and ongoing support to veterans. Not for holidays, but for every day after. The room erupted in applause. For the first time, Alina felt something she hadn't in a long time. Seen. The next morning, Alina awoke to thousands of messages. From sons, daughters, spouses, even veterans themselves. "My dad is still alive, but he's fading. You said what I never could. You made us visible." One message stood out. It came from a retired Navy SEAL, Mark Holland. "I was planning to end things this week. Then I saw your speech. I think I'll stay a little longer. Maybe there's still work to do." Alina sat in silence, her eyes wet. In that moment, she understood. Words may not change the whole world, but sometimes they save one life. And that's enough. Over the next month, Still Serving expanded to 15 states. Alina traveled from city to city, sharing her story. But one stop meant the most: home. Back in Des Moines, Trump hosted an event at the same factory lot where it all began. Thousands came, not just to see the president, but to hear Alina. "I used to think I was just a girl from a forgotten family," she told the crowd, "but now I know. The forgotten are the ones we need to remember the most." Applause rose like a tide. That night, Alina returned to her old room, now decorated with cards, tokens, and photos. On her dresser sat a faded photo of her father. As she picked it up, she noticed something tucked behind the frame. A note, handwritten. "Alina, if I ever seem gone, just know you were my greatest mission. Not the Corps, not the medals. You. Love, Dad." She clutched it close, tears streaming silently. Sometimes the words we need most are already with us. We just have to find a them. 2 days later, the Pentagon called. They invited Alina to deliver the keynote address at the National Veterans Conference, not as a guest, but as a voice for the unseen. And this time, the whole nation would